The Flying Turtle did not go the way I was expecting it to. This is a Walter Lantz Productions Foolish Fables cartoon from 1953. It's directed by Paul J. Smith and written by Eric Gurney, Walter Lantz and Milt Schaffer, with voice cast including Dal McKennon and Colleen Collins. And I thought it was pretty decent, a little slow at times, but not too bad. It's about a little turtle, believe it or not, called Herman, and he wants to be able to fly. That is his dream, and throughout the cartoon, he does everything he can to try and learn to fly. He is a turtle. Will he be able to fly? Honestly, I didn't know what they would do with this, but I will say that what they did do was not what I was expecting, and I will, in a little bit, with a spoiler warning, talk about what happens at the end and also mention one or two personal highlights from throughout the cartoon. Herman is a perfectly likable protagonist. There is nothing about the character that I didn't like, and I really like the animation design of the character. He looks very cute. We have a really nice bright green colour. Visually, the character is very engaging. Some of the other scenes are visually well done as well. I have no issues with the animation quality at all. We have some other characters throughout. Some of the characters felt more interesting than others. There is one in particular character who plays quite a prominent role in the final third, and I rather like that character, but I'll say no more than that at the moment. And in general, I think my only complaint, and it's not really a complaint, is that I just found it to be a little slow and a little repetitive here and there. Not necessarily a whole chunk of it. I can't say that the middle was slow or the beginning was slow. Just every now and then I felt like things were maybe slowing down more than I would have liked. But in general, I'd say it was a pretty decent story, generally well executed with a couple of good moments. And as I said, I was really keen to find out what they'd do with this, as I had no idea what they were going to do or where they'd go, and it definitely was unexpected. So if it sounds like it would appeal to you, I'd say check it out. It's a pretty fun cartoon, and also the last Foolish Fables that I had to watch. And I'd say I'm ending Foolish Fables with a pretty decent one. So with a spoiler warning, I will now talk about what happens at the end, and I'll also mention one personal highlight. The personal highlight is a very brief moment, but he's trying to do that classic thing of throwing a rock onto one end of a panel of wood. He's on the other end. It should fling him into the air. But he does it while he's underneath a tree branch, a very low tree branch. And he kind of bangs his head and then goes up and down it. And the reason I liked this, other than it being well animated, is because it reminded me of Crash Bandicoot. Do you know when you stand on one of the bouncy boxes and there's a box above your head and you get the fruit from it, and he just kind of bounces up and down? It just reminded me of that. Really entertaining. And then we have the ending. So visually, it was really stunning, as we have the bird taking Herman up higher and higher and higher into the sky, and we have a lot of different backdrops and different climates, and it's really fun to look at. And I thought what would happen is he'd realise he can't fly when he lets go, or the bird lets go of him. I thought the bird would swoop down and pick him up, and Herman would realise maybe flying's not all it's cracked up to be. No, that's not what happened. Herman died. I wasn't expecting it at all. He smacks into the ground, obviously, and dies, and then the next thing we see is Herman in heaven, and of course now he's dead. He's got his wings and he can fly, which I thought was, well, it was an interesting way to take the story. It wasn't what I was expecting. And the element of surprise meant that it was rather fascinating. So definitely not a bad cartoon at all. Not perfect, a little slow here and there. But in general, I thought The Flying Turtle was pretty decent.